Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Game 7, the magic words in the NBA here. We got the Nuggets and the Thunder back in OKC. Big news is going to be if Aaron Gordon plays. That hamstring started bothering him at the end of the game. He's officially questionable. I have the latest update from head coach David Adelman. I'll share that with you guys in a minute. Plus, I've got all the insights and data that we need to know if Gordon does play, if Gordon does not play. Also, quick update that we are going to be getting into the WNBA starting next week. So if you are interested in getting into any of that action in the VIP Discord, going to have an NBA season pass for you to get a little discount there to make sure you're not missing any of the picks I am. And then we'll also get that content going, like I said, next week. But if that all sounds good, make sure to sub to the channel. Give this video a like. Let's jump right into it. Let's just get right into what we have here from Coach David Adelman. This was the latest update as of around 3 p.m. or so on the West Coast out here. What he said on the status for Game 7 when he was asked before the team took off for OKC today, he was asked, do you think he plays? Does he have a chance to play? Was the exact question that he answered here. And he said, yes, just went through the walkthrough. He's still a game time decision, obviously, but he was fully part of it. The game plan, both sides of the ball. So if Aaron can play, he will play. Coach speak for it's legit 50-50. We would love to have him out there, but we don't know if he can start, and we certainly don't know if he can go a full slate of minutes if he does start. So that's going to be really impactful here as we get into these matchups, right? Especially as we decide who's going to start for this Denver team. I think it's either Russ or P-Watt, Peyton Watson. Right now, I've got Watson in there with the asterisk. If he is out there, I think he guards J-Dub. If he's not out there, I think that would probably end up seeing Russ guard J-Dub as they'll probably keep Brown on SGA, but they're going to have a little bit more leeway to kind of have a better defender, let's say, if they have Peyton Watson out there. Obviously, they need the offense, but Russ hasn't really been bringing it for the last 3 games of this series anyway, so it seems like Watson might be a better option. Both of those guys probably playing less than 30 minutes anyway, so we'll see a lot more guys like Michael Porter Jr. probably getting a bump in minutes if he can last, and everybody else is going to play 44, right, for this Nuggets team as they're going to be down without Aaron Gordon. Looking at the other side of the ball with the Nuggets on offense, if we have P-Watt start, I do think things stay pretty much the same. Chet has done a really good job guarding Porter Jr., and if they do have him guarding Porter Jr., then he's continuing to be in a spot sort of closer to the baseline, out on the wing. That would also be where Watson is. So I could see either of these matchups making sense. Chet on Watson or Chet on Porter Jr. I don't think it really matters. Both of those guys are going to be in similar places on the floor in terms of off ball, on the wing, and Watson much more in the corner, and Michael Porter Jr. a little bit up higher. So like I said, 50-50 on who guards who, but we also don't even know if Peyton Watson is starting. If he's not starting and Russ does, those will be the only 2 guys really coming off of the bench for Denver in this one. What I'm looking at, starting with obviously Aaron Gordon, likely to play. I don't know where to put him. I have him exactly 50-50, but once again, I want to iterate here. Game 7 equals minutes tighten up and the shooters tighten up. Both of those things, right? So tighter minutes means more for the starters, fewer bench minutes because it's do or die. You got to have your best players on the floor as much as they can stay on the floor. And then as far as shooters go, everybody tightens up, but especially role players, guys that haven't been there before. Not really looking to bet overs on guys who this is their first Game 7 other than the stars for OKC, right? Because most of these guys on the Thunder are going to be playing in their first ever playoffs Game 7. If you look at the difference here, home and away, huge in this series. Denver at home, 106 points per game, and then a plus 5.3. OKC at home, a plus 16 with 126 points per game, obviously impacted by that 43-point win that they laid the hammer down on them in Game 2. So a little bit of a grain of salt with this stuff, but the point is both teams are definitely much better at home in this series than on the road. Denver does have 111 points per game on the road, but they're giving up the 126 to this the Thunder squad. The Thunder only have 101 points per game, only giving up 106 when they're on the road. So I think the key here is we have a clear advantage. There's a reason that the Thunder are currently 8.5-point favorites in this game. We got to keep in mind that if Aaron Gordon doesn't play, that's probably an accurate spread. And if you look at the bottom here, I've got Russ, Michael Porter Jr., and Christian Brown. And I combined all of their road stats in this series to give you their averages. The 3 of them are combining for 25 a game, 14 boards, and 6 assists between the 3 of them. And I will say Russ accounts for more than half of those points. Russ is at about 13.5 points per game on the road, and MPJ and Brown are combining for about 11 points per game on the road here, almost 12. Not a good look, right, for either of those guys. We'll see if they can show up on the road in a Game 7 here. All right, what I want to show you guys here is how these players for the Nuggets perform on the season when Aaron Gordon is off court. So this includes games that Aaron Gordon may have played in, but he wasn't on the court for these numbers. And I've got Jokic and Murray on court because they're going to be out there for like 44 plus minutes. So we got to know how everyone performs with them on the floor. So Jokic with Murray, no Gordon, 26.7 points per 36 minutes, 13 boards and about 10 dimes. Take this with a grain of salt. It is the regular season, so we can't just rely on these entirely. But we do know that the boards go up a little bit. The points stay at about the same for him when he's on the floor without Gordon. At the same time, I think in this one, he knows if Gordon does or doesn't play, he's got to put the ball in the basket in a game 7. So I still think Jokic is probably good for about 30 points in this one. Looking at Murray, his numbers, pretty average, 20. That's about where he's at, 20 points per 36 minutes. Again, this is per 36, though. So even if you extrapolate this out to 40, 44, these numbers are going to go up with the increase in volume and minutes that they have, right? The rebounds, not that impressive. Assists, a little bit better than normal. So, right, 6.5 assists, points and assists. That's probably where I'm looking for our boy here in Jamal Murray. Looking at Christian Braun, 17.5 points per 36, 5 boards, 2.8 assists. This feels pretty accurate. And he wasn't always playing 36 minutes during the regular season. Now we're in the playoffs. This man's playing 40 for sure, right? Probably 44. The main defender on SGA. This would probably be my preferred role player. He had an incredible game in Game 7 against the Clippers. Incredible for him anyway, and it was a good game in general. I don't know if I want to go there on the road with Christian Braun in another Game 7 for him, but I do prefer him to a few of the other role players here. And let's just get to MPJ because these numbers look awesome without Aaron Gordon per 36 minutes on the season. I just don't know if we can rely on even 36 minutes, right? He hasn't gotten there in this series. He's playing about 29, 30 minutes at the most. And if he's not hitting, then he ain't staying out there is what I would imagine is the case here because he's not really bringing it on the boards, obviously not bringing it on the dimes, and isn't really getting to the rim at all. So I don't trust these numbers from Michael Porter Jr., but I can't not give you these and give you all the rest of them, obviously. And the last guy I'm looking at is Russ. He's the one as well. Like, it's Russ and CB that I would be looking at here. We don't know if Peyton Watson is going to start, but do we really want to have to trust Peyton Watson in a Game 7 that he's going to be able to bring it and have his sort of, his composure essentially, which he hasn't really had in this series in general, and is a big reason why his minutes continue to get cut in general for Peyton Watson. And he's the guy that kind of, I think it's him versus Russ in this one in terms of who's going to get those minutes off the bench. Both of them are going to get pretty good minutes off the bench if Gordon doesn't play. But regardless, like I don't think that it matters who starts, right? That's kind of what I'm saying here. For Russ, I think the PRA is going to end up being a look. He's been a little bit better on the road, which we're going to talk about as well in this series specifically. So I think he's the guy that there might be this aspect of if there's no Aaron Gordon, we got to live and die with what Russ brings us. As always, going to be using Props Madness here on the show. So if you are interested in jumping into the #1 sports betting platform here for all things research when it comes to player props, use promo code LYB. That'll get you 25% off your first month. Also gets you 7 free days if you want to jump in. And for those of y'all interested in jumping into the W, we're going to have all the W props here. This is by far the best platform for WNBA props. You're not going to find all of these charts, play type analysis, all these types of matchup data. This is really not available anywhere else right now. So highly recommend jumping into Props Madness, especially if you plan on using this to research WNBA player props. Just like the other episodes, going to go right down the line. And since we only have one game here on Sunday, I got time to tell you what I think of each player and which bets I might make, but also which ones I'm going to stay away from. For SGA, I do think there's a way to play this. I mean, I'm definitely not going to fade the points. I think you got to go over on 30.5. And there's few guys that I'm willing to go over on in a Game 7 when things tighten up this way. But SGA is going to be taking them shots, man. I mean, if you look at the last game and just look at this series as a whole, having some pretty nice games here, over in all but 2 of them. And those were on the road, right? In this last game, this is what really compels me to feel good about 30.5 points for him. He played just 35 minutes where he's normally up at closer to 40 because he got 4 fouls in the first half. 4 fouls in the first half, and he still got to the free throw line 11 times, still took 16 shots, probably closer to 20, 22 when you consider how many free throws he got, right, and got fouled on the shots as well. So I still think you've got to take him for over 30 in this game. I'm not really touching anything else. I've been saying I know that these potential assists are stupid high in this series, right? They're up to 18 per game as opposed to 12.4 per game, which is his normal amount of potential assists because they are bringing the double and they are trapping and trying to force the ball out of his hands. Doesn't matter. The guys on the other side haven't really been hitting the shots, and they are doing a good job of rotating on their defense for Denver. So out on the assists, still like the boards. We got burned on them last time. You can get the over here for -110, better number than we had in the last game. Only had 6 rebound chances in the last game. But look, once he got the 4 fouls in the second quarter, it was like, this bet's dead, even with 3 at that point in the game, right? He had like 3 boards on about 4 rebound chances in the second quarter when he got that 4th foul. The aggression just went down, so he couldn't get there anymore, but he's still in a good position to get boards when he's guarding a guy like Christian Brown, guarding guys that are off ball, not taking on the Jamal Murray assignment, which means he's definitely more available to get those boards against his team. That's why he's got so many on average as a whole, not even considering the playoffs, on the season as a whole, up to 6 per game against them. I still think this is a good bet, but the other thing I would say here to finish it off, I do like under 2 threes for SGA in this game at the money that we get. Plus 136 is great odds for the under. If you can get plus 125 or so or better for under 2 threes, I think that's a really good play for SGA. And if you combine under 2 threes with 30 plus points for SGA, now you're looking at about plus 380 of a nice little parlay, maybe worth a little half a unit sprinkle on that negatively correlated parlay where you're saying you like him to get points, but you think he's not going to hit the requisite amount of threes. I've been talking about J-Dub, Jaylen Williams this whole series, and I've been talking about him through the lens of do not bet on him because he's been playing with that defense of Aaron Gordon on him. I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. But if you want to look at the sort of the pattern here, these 2 games, Aaron Gordon didn't play. November 6th, Aaron Gordon got hurt, played 7, or I'm sorry, he didn't play at all. March 9th, he got hurt, started the game, and only played 7 minutes. So J-Dub was free to do his thing in those 2 games. He had a bad game on October 24th with Aaron Gordon guarding him. And although Gordon wasn't in this March 10th game, right, that was the only one that he really did poorly when Gordon was not out there. But there's that correlation. Now, this is the other game, really good game in game 3. Gordon was out there, fine. There's 1 game now where Aaron Gordon has really played and he's done well. All the other ones are with Gordon out there. So again, my boy Daniel Torres, appreciate this. I'll say it again and keep it simple. Aaron Gordon play, J-Dub no do good. Aaron Gordon no play, J-Dub do good. And I think that's what we're going to see here in this one. I'd probably just go over on the PRA. I think he's ready to break out now that he's not going to be in clamps by one of the better defenders that could take on a guy with his skill and size in J-Dub. Aaron Gordon's not around. J-Dub's in line for a probably pretty good game here. Moving to the bigs on OKC, I can't really mess with it. There seems to be a little bit of off on. If one guy's doing well, the other one's not doing as well, and vice versa. So I'm really not trying to mess with that kind of stuff. Kind of like the Mobley-Allen dynamic on the Cavs. I just hate having to figure out which one of them is going to have a better game. But once we get down to Lou Dort, now you're starting to talk me into some props here. And Lou's somebody that we've been looking at. This is the conversation around our boy, is that when he's at home, awesome. When he ain't at home, not so awesome, right? And the threes are the thing that I like the most here for him because we get the plus money, plus 122 for him to hit 3 on FanDuel. Let's just look at this on the season as a whole. We can filter this so we're just looking at home games. In all of the home games that he's played this season, he's played 43. He's averaging 3 a game. So we get plus 122 for him to get to his averages. That's worth a sprinkle. You look at that compared to 1.6 at home, or excuse me, on the road for the threes that he's making. Such a wild contrast, man. It's absolutely insane. And that holds true throughout the season. The attempts are down by about 2 per game when he's out on the road, 2 fewer attempts from deep than when he's at home. So the threes are what I'm looking at. I think the points are still a beatable number at 9.5 for plus money. Obviously, he's shooting majority of his shots from 3, so I'd rather just take him to get basically 9 points with the 3 threes that I think he's going to make and not have to worry about him driving and going into the lane because this is the guy that they're giving shots to. They're allowing him to shoot a lot more as they double down on better players like SGA. The only other guy I'd consider an over on here is Caruso. I can't really touch the Wallace or Wiggins stuff. For Caruso, like the thing is they've used him a lot more on the road, but I think they're going to use him a lot more at home in a game 7 because this is game 7, right? This is different than anything else. In the situations where they got the most pressure on them, the Thunder are going to turn to Alex Caruso. Such was the case in the last couple games that were so pivotal, and even in the game before that when it was another tiebreaker game at 2-2, he played 28 minutes. Go back home, need that win, plays 24 minutes. Last game, played 27 minutes, and I would argue he should have played more than that because he looked way better on the court than a lot of the other guys he was playing around, and the moment's not too big for an ex-NBA champion like Alex Caruso. The problem is PRA is up to 14.5. The books are sort of projecting that Caruso gets a few more minutes as well. That doesn't give us much of an edge because if they've got the same projection as we do that Caruso is in line for a good game, that means they bumped up his props to a place that are pretty fair. And when I say fair, it means I don't have an edge to bet over or under. This is an accurate projection. So I can't really get there with much. I would love to take the threes. This would be the only bet that I would take. He's basically 2 for 5 in this series per game against the Nuggets in the playoffs specifically, right? If we look at head-to-head in the playoffs in this series, hitting 2 in almost every single game averaging 2.3. The only under, he only took two twos, but that was in the game he only played 10 minutes because they won by 43. So I think you get him up to about 27, 28 minutes once again, and you expect him to take another 5 threes. I don't know if I can get there. I'll be making a decision in the morning on Caruso. I'm not getting a bet down on him yet, seeing if this prop can get any better for us. But at minus 120, that's about where I draw the line, where I would take an over for Caruso. Quick look at the Game 7 stuff I showed you before, the Clippers and Nuggets Game 7. I've got two guys here that I just want to focus on, Nikola, Jamal Murray. Those are going to be the two most important guys no matter what. As we know, they're just going to be even more important if Aaron Gordon's not there, because he is clearly their third player that they've relied on in these playoffs. But in the Game 7, this is actually before the Clips game. So now he's 4-2 here, still at about 26 points per game, still at about 16 rebounds, slightly less now, and the assists also right at about 7. So these are pretty much the accurate numbers here, minus the Clippers game that they just played. Jamal Murray might actually be impacted by it. He only had 16 in this Game 7 against the Clippers, but overall you can see really good numbers when he gets into Game 7 in his career, now also 4-2 in these Game 7s. Thing to keep in mind is, right, this is going to be different. They're not at home. In the Clippers Game 7, they were at home as the 4 seed and handled business there. They have not been good on the road versus OKC outside that, obviously, that first win that they had. It's a really, really tough place to play. Things are probably going to tighten up a ton here. Let's get into these game notes, though, for Game 7. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there with much out on Denver outside of Jokic and Murray. Those are the only two guys I really trust. And if we're being fully honest, the only guy I trust here is Jokic. And I like him on the points. More than anything else, I like him on the points. Rebounds, I can mess with. 13.5 is at least somewhat doable. But, bro, you're losing me at 14.5. It's absolutely insane. He will be picking up a lot of boards. I totally believe in that. If you look at him on the season without Aaron Gordon, we're going to be talking about some pretty good numbers here for him, right? If we go to games without Aaron Gordon on the season, let's make sure we have Jamal in there as well. We're talking about 14 rebounds per game, which is where he's at right now. And then on the points, more than 31.5 in the 20 games that he's played. There's 21 games he's played with Murray, without Aaron Gordon. Really, really good numbers here for Jokic, right? Like we talked about, everything goes up for him without Aaron Gordon for sure. So this is the guy I'd be looking at to take a lot of shots, to force the issue on offense, and the assists just have not been there for him. So I'm not trying to touch those. Everything points related, potentially rebounds, but for now it's just points related for Jokic. I think he's going to have to be the guy to put the ball in the basket. You look at Jamal Murray without Aaron Gordon as well, right? Take him out of the game, and all the games he's played without Murray, without Gordon, he's only over in 13 of 28. This is a game, though, where this is the only other guy right now that I really trust on an over before I know what's up with Aaron Gordon. If Aaron Gordon's not playing tomorrow, things change for sure. And we'll talk about the other players. But right now, the two guys that I would trust to go over for the Nuggets, maybe period, but definitely before I know about Aaron Gordon, are Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I don't know that I'm going to get a bet down on Murray in this game. If we look at the playoffs here in this matchup, right, what an incredible game for him last one. Do I really want to bank on him picking up that kind of magic once again? I don't know. I think he's probably way healthier, right? He was sick in this last game, had 2 or 3 days to completely recover. So he's good to go. He's seeing 44 minutes. He's just such a good defense, man. It's going to be so tough. I don't know exactly if they're going to continue to try to double Jamal Murray. They've left him one-on-one as they really just only doubled Jokic. They don't seem to be able to afford more defenders on Murray. So this is one that I wish I could give you more on. If anything, I'm taking just PRA for him because of the straight-up volume that he's at, and he's averaging about 35, 36 PRA per game in these game 7s, as we've seen in his career. So there's still a really good chance that we see playoff Jamal Murray out here. I'll be making a stronger decision on this one as I see what the market thinks about Murray and get to this one in the morning on Sunday. And that is all the time I have for you in this one. Hope you guys are getting something out of these episodes, that we're bringing you these insights, especially with a tricky Game 7 coming up. And we are going to be going forward, moving with the WNBA here next week, like I mentioned already. Going to have that season pass code for you guys who want to jump in and tail all those picks. Everything is in the description of the video for the links that you need, though. So until I see y'all next, happy betting.